Happy New Year, and welcome to the Thursday, January 3rd meeting of TV Toastmasters. TV Toastmasters meets on the first Thursday of the month at 6 p.m. and the third Saturday of the month at 9 a.m. at the Anderson Community Center at 7850 5 Mile Road. For those looking at home, please come check us out. You can learn more about us at www.tvtoastmasters.org. We have a full audience tonight, several guests. I want to recognize them. We have Mary Kay Meyer. We have Joe Schwerling, who is a DTM, members of Anderson Hills and Mount Auburn. And we have Trey Dawson. And we also have our newest member, Kathy Goulet. Did I say that correct?
Yes.
All right, great. So, great meeting in store. I'd like to welcome the Toastmaster for the evening, Mr. Rick Barron.
Thank you, Michelle. It's always great to start off the new year doing something you enjoy. And I really do enjoy being here at TV Toastmasters. It's something that I look forward to. And Kathy, I want to applaud you for taking action on your goals for 2013. So many people sit back and say, I'm going to make this year my best year ever, and then don't do a darn thing about it. So congratulations for taking that action step, getting in your car, driving over here, and saying, me next, me next. I want to be the next member of TV Toastmasters. Congratulations. As the Toastmaster, my role today is to facilitate the meeting, to transition between topics and speakers, and to act as the overall MC. It's one of the most fun roles because you get to see all aspects of the meeting and participate in every single one of them. We get started with our counter and grammarian. In Toastmasters, we're very precise about our use of the English language. And we have somebody whose role in our meeting is to make sure that we use the English language correctly and that we expand our vocabulary by trying to work in a new word every time we're up here at the lectern. It's nice that we have a guest today, Joe Schwerling, that's going to act as our counter and grammarian. I'd like to welcome distinguished Toastmaster Joe Schwerling.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. As counter and grammarian, as he mentioned, I'll be taking note of ahs and ums and filler words and noting any grammatical areas for improvement as well as use of unusual grammar words just to improve all of our communications, our speaking. And I do have a word of the day. I, in fact, borrowed it from another club I belong to. I had it printed out nice with the definition and the usage, but I've forgotten and left it. But the word is beguile. To beguile basically is to flatter, possibly in the interest of perhaps being devious or soliciting something, but in a kind of a sneaky way. But beguiling, like I say, to flatter. Now, one thing that occurred to me was I would hope that in a year from now, if I've lost about 30 pounds that I've put on in the last few years, somebody could beguile me by saying how slim I looked. So if anyone can use the word beguile, beguiling, beguiled, and add any unusual grammar, try to avoid those filler words and the ahs and ums, which for me is like a tidal wave. Sometimes they're down, sometimes they're up. So, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Joe. I had a conversation with one of our guests before we started, Mary Kay, and I was beguiling her about the words that she was using, about starting off her year with such a negative tone. So I think I helped her switch that around so that now she can look with great expectancy towards all the things that she's going to accomplish here at TV Toastmasters for 2013. We look forward to working with you. Our next area in the meeting is table topics. And table topics is the time when we practice our extemporaneous speaking. That time in the meeting when somebody says, I don't know, Diego, what do you think? Or you're someplace at a cocktail party and somebody says, Carol, do you have an opinion about this fiscal cliff thing? You got to practice that. They're muscles, just like anything else. And those impromptu, extemporaneous responses need to be practiced, just like every other speaking skill that we have. And table topics is an opportunity to do that, where our table topics master will present a topic and then select somebody out of the audience to come up and give a 1 to 2 minute response. And our table topics master for the meeting today is none other than Carol Cormelink.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our most welcome guest. I will beguile you with our topics questions tonight, and I will not beguile the members, the visitors who said they would not like to take part in these. 2013 was a great year for me. Some great things happened during the year, and I want you to think back to your year of some fantastic thing that happened for you in 2013 and come up and tell us about it. Shankar. It could be your trip you just took.
Thank you, Carol. I think you meant 2012,
No, yes, 2012. Yes, 2012. Thank you.
because in only 2 days I cannot come up with great things, right? Well, in 2012, my biggest thing was my dream came true. I've been planning my trip. I have spoken in this forum several times. I've been planning a trip to Yellowstone since, I don't know, 5-6 years now, and finally it came to fruition. And it is during winter. Not many people usually go in winter there. And I was lucky enough that it was a grand get-together of all my friends from school, and we had a really great trip, watching great animals and doing a lot of winter activities. And I don't even remember which places I went in Yellowstone. We were just driving around the mountains in the snowmobiles, and it was just so much fun. I think that's the biggest achievement for me in 2012. Thank you, Carol.
And thank you. Man, your hands are cold. Thank you for that. Think back on 2012, New Year's 2012. You made resolutions, but you didn't keep them. And I want to know, what did you learn from those unkept resolutions that you're going to do differently this year to keep that resolution? Joe Schwerling.
Thank you, Madam Topic Master. Well, as I alluded to earlier, I need to lose a little bit of weight. My blood pressure's up a little bit, and my pulse is running a little faster for some reason. So I definitely want to try to lose some weight. Now, I'm single, and I cook with a microwave oven and a toaster oven. So if I would just stick to the frozen dinners, I'd be fine. Unfortunately, one of my favorite foods is cheese and various cheesy and orange snacks. I'm usually wearing orange. But one technique I've come across that's only salvation for me. On one hand, I'm conservative and an economist, and I like to buy things where I can save money. So I like to buy the big bags of things where I can get them inexpensively. But I can't buy a big bag of chips or cheese doodles or whatever because I eat the whole thing at one time or almost at one time. Same way with ice cream. So now I'm going to smaller containers, smaller snacks. I buy the whole box, like 50 little packets of cheese doodles and things like that. Lately I've been finding things that are on the clearance shelf at Myers and Kroger. Lately I found a whole bunch of yogurt at Myers last week for 50 and 75% off. So then I froze it. So I'll eat that instead of ice cream. It's smaller containers. So hopefully by concentrating on the smaller containers, getting them on clearance when they're about to expire, and save money that way. And in the long run, maybe I'll lose some weight and not contribute to the any additional medical expenses that none of us want to incur. So that again, I can allow someone to beguile me with my slender appearance some point in the future. Madam Topic Master.
Wishing won't work, but a plan will. Which is, I have no plan on maintaining weight, so I have a hard time. I know how to not eat. I don't know how to eat. So you need a plan, Joe, if you want to be successful. 2013, 362 days of promise to accomplish great things. And I'd like to know what great goals that you have for this year, Diego.
Thank you, Chair.
And the time date of when you're going to do it.
Okay. Well, good evening, everybody. Well, I have big plans this year. It's a year that I have next week a trial in order to get the custody of my son. So it's very important next week for me. I've been waiting for 2 years for that. So it's one of the things that I've been prepared, and I have to understand about arguments, about talking with the truth, and going to a judge and telling what is the really true. So this is one of the things that I've been waiting the whole year for that. The second thing is I lost my job last year, and apparently God have a plan for me, and He put me 3 jobs just line up for me. So I'm very proud that I get no one, just I get 3. So very prolific at that point. So I would like to maintain what I'm committed to start. And also I found that not only just have one source, but also sources as an entrepreneur help me to develop as a businessman, and I can continue helping other people in the community. So that's my second goal. And the third plan is basically maintain health and wisdom to other people. So continue volunteering, also helping other people to grow is very important. So those are my 3 big plans that I have for this year. Okay?
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
that great reply. And that concludes my table topics for today. I will now return control of the meeting to our Toastmaster, Rick Barron, as he comes from the camera up to the lectern.
Thank you, Carol. Most of the table topics that we do tend to be very seasonal in nature. And what I find is that during each meeting, they all seem to focus around things that are on the tip of our consciousness. And it was great to hear how people either viewed their previous year or are taking a look and how they have expectations associated with their current year. We now transition into the prepared speech portion of our meeting. Here's where people work against projects that we have that teach them specific skills. It's an opportunity to think of it as a building block. You know, you're building this structure with these blocks, and you learn these basic skills that set the foundation. You have additional skills that come on top, working your way up to this pinnacle, and then you get to start all over again. That's really how it works. Our next speaker, or our first speaker, is Steve Aaronholtz. And Steve has been around the block a few times. He's a distinguished Toastmaster. He's probably been through the Competent Communication Manual a handful of times. And this time he's working on Project 3 with the objective of get to the point. His topic is membership building, why it's important to you. Steve Aaronholtz is the Vice President of Membership for TV Toastmasters. He's going to speak to us today about the role each of us plays in promoting membership growth within our club. He's also providing us some details on the TV Toastmasters membership drive. Distinguished Toastmaster Steve Aaronholtz.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, our honored guests that are here today, our newest member, and those of you looking in from home. Yes, my speech today is get to the point. What I intend to do today is to go over several things as far as Toastmaster membership. Rick introduced me as the Vice President of Membership for TV Toastmasters, but that doesn't mean I am the only person who brings in new members. I'm not the only person who talks up Toastmasters. If you've looked into Toastmasters membership information in any capacity, whether it's been at some of the Toastmaster training that club officers attend every year, or if you've gone to any of the Toastmaster conferences, you've heard some things about Toastmaster membership, as well as our District 40 leadership is always talking about membership. Why? Why is it important? Toastmasters has been around for quite a while. I think they're going on 90 years, 85 to 90 years. One of the things that Toastmasters has learned over this time is that there's a certain number of members a club has to have in order to function effectively. You'll hear us talk about charter strength. What is charter strength? Charter strength is that 20 members that a new club has to have so that they can become a formal Toastmasters club. Why 20? 20 seems to be, and through the years this has borne itself out, a good number to work with as far as having meetings that are interesting. You have a number of people that are speaking. You have different perspectives. Some other things that this takes into consideration are that you're not overburdening any one member as far as the meeting goes, yet it is a small enough group that everyone can participate that is interested in doing so. There is such a thing as too large a Toastmasters club, although we seldom run into that problem. I've heard of it. I've never been a part of it. I've seen the other side where you have clubs that are really struggling because they maybe have 6 or 8 members. And it's hard to do a complete meeting with all the roles that you'll see tonight in our meeting here with just 5 or 6 members. That's why we continually hear about the importance of membership. And then, of course, we do live in the real world, which means people travel for work. People have unexpected events come up that they have to tend to. People move. They have things change in their jobs that they can't attend a meeting like they used to. So we have some normal attrition that goes on that we need to replace people as well. One of the other things that comes along when you have new members is you get new ideas, you get fresh perspectives. My home club, there are a few of us that have been there since the club began. We're charter members. Sometimes people will express the perspective that, well, you know how to do all this stuff, so I really don't want to do it because I'm not as good at it. No, that's not really an appropriate concern. We are a learning laboratory. That's what TV Toastmasters is. That's what all Toastmasters clubs are. So we want people to be trying things. Spread your wings. Try some different things. There is an international promotion right now going on for club membership, and it's called 1 + 1 = growth, or invite one, encourage one, and that will result in growth for the club. What this means is each one of us can talk up our Toastmasters club, talk up our experience, speak from your own perspective if there are people that you think might be interested in Toastmasters. You'll find some things that I put on your seats tonight before you got here. One of them is Success 101. It's a brochure that Toastmasters International puts out. They don't all look the same because we have a couple different versions. They basically contain the same information. But this is talking about membership. It has things for the Vice President of Membership. It talks to some of the club officers. But it has information that I think is valuable for just each individual club member as well. Now, one of the things that we're going to be doing in TV Toastmasters, we are going to have a club building contest, membership contest. And what I'm challenging everyone to do is everyone bring in one guest. Talk up Toastmasters, have them come and see what we think, what you think of our meeting. We have our guest register, our logbook. We have it out at every meeting. And what I would like you to do is when you have a guest come, make sure they fill out their information here and also put down who they're a guest of. If you're hosting them, put your name down there. What I want to do is I'm going to send out a personal note for each of these guests that comes in, welcoming them to Toastmasters. I have little note cards from Toastmasters that I want to use up. So that means we need to bring in lots of members. There are also materials that we have here that you can use if you aren't quite sure what you want to say, or maybe you know somebody that says, well, I know you go to that Toastmasters meeting, but that's not really for me. Well, we have materials here that you could give to them and see if they take a look at it. We have one that's entitled Find Your Voice. It talks about learning to speak up, gaining confidence in your abilities to speak and express yourself. That's one of the big things Toastmasters is intent on, is improving people's communication skills. Then with finding your voice and the confidence to speak up, we also have a brochure that's called Confidence, because Toastmasters has 2 tracks in our educational program. We have a communication track and we have a leadership track. And you can work on just one of these, both of these, or some combination of them. The competent leader training comes as a part of participating in the meetings, the different roles that you have. The competent communicator portion and the communication track is where you work on your communication skills. So, what I'd like you all to do is speak up about TV Toastmasters. Our own contest that we have here, I've asked for $15 for the person who brings in the most guests by the end of June, that they can apply towards a book in the Toastmasters catalog. The person who brings in the second most guests will have $10 to spend towards a book that is in the Toastmasters catalog. And the Vice President of Membership is not participating in the contest. We also have cards for our club that give the dates and times that we meet each month. And we have an abundance of these, so please feel free to take some. I have a bunch here. We also have our new guest, or our guest packets. I have 8 of them in the drawer out when you come in. And I have one for our guest that came that I didn't have a chance to give this to tonight, Mary Kay. I will give this to her. It explains some things about Toastmasters, and after our meeting tonight, I'll be happy to answer any questions anybody has. Talk up Toastmasters. 1 + 1 = growth. Invite, encourage, and we'll have growth. Mr. Toastmaster?
Thank you, Steve. We'll be back in a minute after a word from our sponsor.
I'd like to begin tonight with a little joke. This guy, he's a farmer, and he says, hey, hello, sorry. But seriously, folks.
Speaking in public is no joke.
Doctor says, chicken says...
For help, call Toastmasters, the public speaking support group.
The chicken.
Welcome back. Now we get to finish up the time with our first speaker and transition to our second speaker. Our second speech today, you've seen her already. It's from Carol Cormelink. Carol is again working out of the Competent Communication Manual on Project 4, which the focus is how to say it. The title of her speech is The Art of Gentle Confrontation. Start the new year right with the art of gentle confrontation to resolve differences. Differences among humans are inevitable. Hurt, anger, frustration are optional. If your relationship with another is unsettling, is there a way to clear the air and free yourself from the hurt? The art of gentle confrontation is a marvelous communication tool to learn. Carol has had 52 years of experience in learning the art of gentle confrontation. Let us welcome distinguished Toastmaster Carol Cormelink, The Art of Gentle Confrontation. Carol?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and those looking in from home and our guests. As I said, differences with another is inevitable, but the hurt, anger, and frustration is optional. To confront the art of gentle confrontation is to confront early when the difference is only a little hiccup, and confront often so that it gets resolved, and most importantly is to confront respectfully. I did not learn this for about 30 years after I had gotten married. When we were first married, I knew nothing about communicating. If my husband was angry with me, he didn't speak. And this happened when we dated, but I thought it was the frustration of not being able to do the things that we wanted to do, and this would all change when we got married. No. If he was angry, we may not speak for an entire month. Do you know how hard that is? Not to speak for a month because you look over at them to see if they're looking at you, and then you turn because you don't want them to know that you want to see if they were looking at you. I learned communication is a two-way street. And just because someone is not talking to you doesn't mean that you cannot communicate with them. After I learned that, that was the end of our not speaking. Unfortunately, it wasn't the end of the unkind words. So if my husband would say, "You're fat and ugly," I wasn't going to let him get the best of me. I was going to get the best of him. And I said, "Well, you're ugly and bald, and I can lose weight, and you can't grow hair." That's not a very good confrontation. Then I learned when I went to Marriage Encounter, a great way to confront is to dialogue. At the Marriage Encounter, you spend the entire weekend where you do nothing but communicate with your spouse. You don't watch TV, you don't talk to the other people, you're only learning to know your spouse better. So when you dialogue, they would give a topic, which could be finances, housework, sex, whatever the topic might be that they would discuss. And then one of you would stay in the room, and the other would go back to the room, and you'd have a notebook. And you would write your thoughts for 10 minutes or so. And you start out with EMQ, your most endearing quality today, EQM. Most M, whatever it was, it's been a while. Most endearing quality today. Well, one time my husband made me so angry, I let him get me so angry, that I said, "We're going to dialogue about that." Because after Marriage Encounter, he said, "I hate doing this, I hated English, and I'm not going to do this." I'm going, "Oh, I love it, Joe. I'm getting to know, and we can get our thoughts out without interrupting each other." And so I said, "We're going to dialogue this." And after supper, I got those books, and I gave a book to him and to me, and I set the timer for 10 minutes. And so your most enduring quality was being gone all day. And if that's the way you feel about it, you can go to hell. My love letter to him, and you exchange notebooks with a kiss. I read what he wrote about the situation, and I don't even remember what the situation is. I just remember how angry that I was. And I read what he wrote, and it was, oh, he only meant it like a 3, and I took it as a 10, and then I had to apologize to him. But that was the end of the hurt feelings and the anger and feeling so frustrated and hating them. So there is an art of confrontation where it's gentle and you confront early, confront often, and most importantly, confront respectfully. If you are angry, you do not want to confront. And a lot of people will not confront because they think it's like butting two heads together. One of you wins and the other loses. Con does not just mean against. It also means with. You knew that. Chili con carne, chili with meat. Via con Dios, go with God. So when you want to resolve a difference, confrontation is a loving, caring act by an individual to resolve a difference. And when you're doing this in love, you don't say those hurtful, unkind words. And in fact, you don't even have to, if someone says something that hurts your feelings, instead of letting it ferment inside you and then erupt eventually, you can say, that felt hurtful. Did you intend it to feel like that? Was that what you meant? And you're able to ask questions to keep things from being the fire-breathing dragon where you're really angry with what you're doing. You want to do this as a loving, caring act. So what are the three rules? Confront, confront, confront. That's the most important. And if you will learn to be able to speak up, find your voice and speak up. When I would complain, if I would go to Michelle and I'd be complaining about Joe and she'd say, well, did you tell him that? Well, I can't tell him that. No, I was telling her where she can't do anything about it. I didn't go to the person that could do something about it. And that's what we need to learn is to ask them, because a lot of times maybe they didn't realize that you didn't have a good day and they didn't intend to hurt your feelings. And when you let them know that that was hurtful, then you can resolve the differences without being hurt, angry, or frustrated. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Carol. It often amazes me the wisdom that people bring to Toastmasters from all areas of their lives. And here we had an opportunity, 52 years experience. Wow, thank you, Carol. We'll be back after a word from our sponsor.
Thank you very much. And now for our next speaker, Stanley Glitchner.
Speaking in public doesn't have to be a death sentence. At Toastmasters, we can help you overcome your fears.
Welcome back. We now transition from the prepared speech portion of our meeting to the evaluation portion. And here's where we not only beguile our speakers, but we provide them some useful feedback on how they can improve the speeches that they gave. There's a team of people that are brought together to perform this task, and they are led by our club president, Michelle Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Today I'm filling the role as general evaluator, and essentially I evaluate anything and everything that goes on during the meeting today. But like Rick said, I can't do that by myself. I have a team that's here to support me. And today my team consists of a timer is Diego Martinez. Our grammarian and all counter is Joe Schwerling. My evaluator for Steve is Rick Barron, and the evaluator for Carol is Shankar. So first I'm going to ask for the evaluation of Steve's speech to be done by Rick Barron. Rick?
Thank you, Michelle. Get to take off one hat and put on my other hat. This is a hat that I enjoy wearing, but it's a difficult hat to wear when you've got somebody as accomplished as Steve up here. The objectives for his speech, membership building, why it's important to you, were to have a general purpose and a specific purpose, as well as to incorporate the concepts of a beginning, body, conclusion, and to be comfortable, confident, and to have limited use of notes. My understanding of the general purpose was to talk to us about about Toastmasters membership specifically, giving us some details about the program, why membership is so important, and the level of membership in a club that helps make it most effective. And Steve was very effective at communicating that general purpose. In addition, the specific purpose, as I got out of the speech, was to announce to the club members the contest that we're having for the membership drive. The invite one, encourage one equals growth. And the rewards that are out there for those people who bring the most and the second most guests to our club meeting. There was one area where I thought Steve may have been able to do a little bit better job, and at least in my impression of getting people to come to Toastmasters Club, there's this long list of objections that people have. Steve touched on them, made a couple of comments about them, and used some of the printed material as a way to address those objections. But I think to help make the speech a little bit more focused on what do I go do, I think a little bit more time on specifically calling out some of those objections that people have, and then maybe having some ways to specifically address them. Not only with the material that he had provided, but some additional comments that people might be able to say, examples, promotions, I don't know, something that might help us in that one-on-one dialogue when we have with somebody when they say, I'm too busy, I don't have enough time, I've got commitments at home, my family needs me. We've all heard those. We've all heard those excuses that people give. So to me, I think the focus on 1 + 1 = growth was right on target. Great announcement. Steve is very comfortable, confident. I didn't see any use of notes, just the handouts and other kinds of things that he used, the visual aids that he showed us. He challenged, I like that, the challenge of everyone to bring a guest, at least one guest, and then the specific details of the process, how to use the log, how to use the business cards, how to use some of those handouts. Some very practical things that we can use in helping grow TV Toastmasters during the 2013 calendar year. Ms. General Evaluator?
Thank you, Mr. Evaluator and Mr. Toastmaster. And next we'll have our evaluation of Carol's speech, The Art of Gentle Confrontation, and Shankar Rajwa will be doing that. Thank you.
Carol, that was a wonderful speech, and it is really an honor for me to evaluate you. So I'll tell you my top 3 items that I really liked. I was going through the evaluation manual, and I picked up 3 key points that I'm supposed to evaluate your speech upon. Simple, short, and concise. You stood by its definition. I liked your punchline of confront early, confront often, and confront respectfully. It was very clear and effectively organized. I like the way that you loop back towards the end and ask the audience on your 3 main words. I thought that was very great. Use of vivid descriptive words. Well, bald, ugly, sex. Kiss, fire-breathing dragon. These are the words you used. You must have had a wild life. Well, those really helped us think through what you were saying, and it was very picturesque, at least in my mind. I see things as pictures, and that helps me understand much better. Some people are driven by sounds, and I'm driven by pictures, so it really helped me a lot. And it is a very wonderful speech, and I look forward to many of your speeches. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Barb. And And next we will ask our grammarian, Joe, to come up and to give feedback about the use of proper grammar throughout the meeting, as well as the word of the day and counting our crutch words and all those good things. Joe?
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. I think everyone did quite well today. I really didn't pick up any, other than myself, I'm sure a couple of ahs, and nobody else had more than one or two. And mostly, I don't think I really heard any. On the grammar and the word usage and all things, of course, those that had the greatest opportunity were Rick Barron and Carol Carmelink, and they both used very colorful, enthusiastic language and so on, which I think fit in quite well with the word beguile, because beguiling, you flatter, you compliment, it makes them smile. I should have mentioned that earlier. Smiling and beguiling kind of go together, and I think the language being used related to that. Rick and Carol both used the word beguile a couple of times. Myself once in my table topics. And again, I think very beguiling meeting, and in spite of the fact that today is 1/3/13, which 13/13, that might be an unlucky day. I think we've had a very lucky and fortunate meeting with a lot of beguiling Toastmasters and guests.
And next I'm going to ask Diego to come up and give our time allotments for the meeting.
Thank you, madam. Okay, then times today, that was my duty today, to examine and count how much time people spend here. So for the word of the day, that was basically in 1.42, which is an average, good. The table topics that we have Shankar. He used 1.48 over the 3, so it's pretty good. And Joe used also 206, very close. And I spent 140, so in the average, so we did pretty good in terms of the 2 minutes. For the scheduled speakers, we have Steve. He used 8:48. The time was 7, but he went a little longer, but it was the longest time that I see it. Carol spent 6:10 over the 7 that we were, so she was very close, but very well. And in the evaluation, we have Rick, who used the 3 minutes precise, so just exactly what we needed. Shankar used 2 minutes, just sharp, like. And Joe used 1 minute and 40. So that complete all the timing that we have tonight. So we did very well. Give it.
And just a few general comments today about the meeting. The setup was fantastic. I was the second person to arrive and everything was set up. So I have to say, whether Steve did it or someone else, I appreciate that. As far as starting on time, we were a little bit late. However, in defense, Steve was wearing like 5 hats and Rick was wearing 3. So we were kind of all scrambling to fill some roles. So not too bad for starting about 10 minutes late. As Toastmaster, Rick, you did a phenomenal job of explaining the roles. We had a number of guests in the audience who may not be so familiar with what's going on during the meeting, and did a fantastic job of kind of laying the foundation for that. For our evaluations, Rick, you did a phenomenal job. You gave the objectives, which is nice for those who aren't familiar exactly what the speech is about. They can understand what the evaluator was looking for, and he did my favorite, the sandwich method, which is start with some positive feedback, then give an area for improvement, and then finish with some positive feedback. That's a method our club usually tries to employ during evaluations. Shankar, I really liked how you picked out the 3 key points. The only thing I would suggest is try to give a little bit more critical feedback. I know Carol's really challenging to evaluate because she's so good, but at least give her some areas of improvement. The one thing I thought maybe that I could give you besides you banged on the lectern one time, which Carol never bangs on the lectern. She always yells at everyone for doing that. But other than that, maybe you could have opened with a little bit more of maybe one of your arguments between you and Joe kind of interacting just to catch our attention a little bit better. But overall, phenomenal speech. Thanks to my team, to Diego, and to Joe. Joe, maybe, I know you forgot your word, so you called that out. That would have been maybe nice to have some sort of reminder that what the word of the day is. But other than that, had a great meeting. We appreciate everybody attending today. And last but not least, I will turn it back over to our Toastmaster, Mr. Rick Barron.
Thank you, Michelle. It's always nice when something that you've worked so hard comes to the conclusion that you anticipate, and I think that's what we can celebrate today. That today we were able to put together a great meeting, not only for the people who participated, but the people in the studio audience and you out there in the viewing audience as well. We'd love to have you back here with us in the studio. We meet the first Thursday at 6 p.m., the third Saturday at 9 a.m. at the Anderson Center on 5 Mile Road. Please come visit us. I'd like to now turn the meeting back over to our club president, Michelle Lewis.
Thank you, Rick. Mr. Toastmaster, I'm back. And Rick just essentially recapped what I was going to say is what a fantastic meeting. And one thing I forgot to mention as general evaluator, the enthusiasm with our guests here today, a new year, some new resolutions. Hopefully you guys will come back and visit us. Again, check us out, for those of you at home, at www.tvtoastmasters.com. That's www.tvtoastmasters.com. And we hope you can join us soon. Thanks, and this concludes our January 3rd meeting.